Hey Pixies! So today we're doing a manicure with a solid and a really chunky glitter. I'm using gels. These are Dollhouse Dips Gel Base and Gel Top Coat, Mountain Momma Dips Brand New Barbie, and Dollhouse Dips Galactic, which is a super chunky glitter with black holographic pieces and gray. It's beautiful. So we are going to get started by applying our gel base, and then I'm going to pour Brand New Barbie right over top of that. And the reason I'm using gels is the past week my allergies have been so bad that I didn't want to use dip liquids and make it worse. So I just decided we would do gels for this, but this manicure you can do with any type of liquids, the gel or the dip liquids. I have other videos where I do chunky glitter with dip liquids, so I can link that here for you. But we're just going to apply that gel base and then pour over the color and clean up the cuticle area with a toothpick. You want to be very careful when cleaning up your cuticle area when you're using gels because it doesn't set until you cure it in the lamp. So be really careful with it. When I first started using gels, I would cure each finger after I put the powder on, but now I'm just really careful and I don't touch it with anything else. So I just make sure that I'm not disturbing that gel or powder on my fingers and getting any divots or chunks that are getting pulled off. So just be really careful if you're going to do multiple fingers at a time until you cure it, that you're not bumping it into anything. So I cured it then for 30 seconds and I'm using that stiff nail brush to get off any of the excess. And then for the second dip, I'm going to very carefully lay my finger into the powder. So I'm applying that gel base and then I'm going to lay my finger into the powder and kind of cup the cupcake liner around it so it gets the edges as well. And like I said before, you have to be really careful with gel. If you go in too hard, the powder might actually like push the gel back on your nail. So just be really careful how you are laying your finger into the powder. I would recommend not dipping into the jar. If you're going to use gels, either pour over, which means you might have to do multiple layers more than you normally would, or try laying it into the cupcake liner like I am. And that usually works pretty good. I don't usually have it move on me, but whenever I've dipped it right into the jar before, that's when I've had an issue with the gel being displaced on my finger then. So I'm just doing it as I normally would and cleaning up that cuticle area with the toothpick, and then I will cure it for another 30 seconds. So after I do this dip on my middle finger, I'm going to lay it into the powder and then cure everything for 30 seconds. And dust it off with a stiff nail brush just to get off any excess. I really like using the stiff nail brush. If you've seen my other videos, I always talk about it. The fluffy nail brush does a good job at getting the powder off of your fingers, but the stiff nail brush really gets in there, gives you the thinnest application. If you're applying your liquids thin and then using that brush, it really gives you a nice thin application. So what I'm doing here is I've already cured it for 30 seconds and I'm just reshaping the tip a little bit because I had a little bump on the one side where probably the gel just gathered there, and I was kind of looking at it making sure I didn't need a third dip because I use nail tips and they're clear. Sometimes I need to do 3 dips to get the same saturation as I normally would. So I had a question about nail tips and I'll link what I used down below, but in about 2 weeks, I think, I forget the exact date, I have a nail tip application video coming on everything about applying them, the whole thing. So that will be coming soon. I use the Beatles nail tips, so I'll put them in the description box as well. I just applied that gel base again and I'm laying my finger into Galactic, which is so beautiful. I love black dip powder and I love holographic glitter, and this is both. So I love this. I had to get it whenever I saw it. So I'm just kind of moving those pieces around because since it's gel and it doesn't set until you cure it, it's a great way to apply your chunky glitters. So I'm just tapping everything down, and then I use the toothpick to move any glitter pieces around on the nail or remove them completely, depending on how the nail looks. Sometimes I just take a piece or two off, or I just kind of reposition them, and then I just keep tapping it down to make sure that it's nice and thin and even before I cure it. So I'm getting all of those really big chunky glitter pieces in the right position, not overlapping my cuticle, not sticking up on the sides, and making sure that they're laying flat. The flatter that you can make them before you cure it or before it sets, the less buffing and filing you will have to do. So once I'm happy with the placement, I tap everything down real gently with my finger, and then I just decided to pour over the powder a little bit just to get that fine gray glitter to fill in any of the pieces where any of the chunky glitter isn't overlapping, and just kind of as a filler to fill everything in. And then I just pat everything down again, make sure it's laying the way I want it to. And now we're going to apply the gel base to our pinky finger, making sure that we're very careful not to bump our ring finger glitter and move it around. And I poured over the powder, which most of that gray powder then stuck to it. And I will clean up the cuticle area and cure it for 30 seconds. And then we're going to layer a finger into the powder. So I'm really dusting it off really good with that stiff nail brush. And now we're going to apply a second layer of the gel base and layer our pinky finger into the powder. So I think I actually preferred for this dip to do it the way I did my ring finger. However, the outcome was still the same. I just wouldn't have had to do the second layer. So I usually would do it the way I'm doing my pinky finger, but I tried it a new way with the ring finger and I kind of liked that a little bit better. I don't know if that would work for every chunky dip. I would have to kind of play with it. I'll probably try it again because I did like that fact that I didn't need to apply another layer of base and a second layer of dip, and just do that one dip on the ring finger and make sure everything's real good before I cure it. So I am just doing what I did with that ring finger and moving any of the glitter pieces around to fill in any of the spots, making sure it's not overlapping my cuticle area, removing any that need removed, and I will cure it for 30 seconds. So I am going to, here I'm just picking up a little bit of the finer pieces of glitter because my pinky finger is small, so I can't use as many of the really big chunky glitter pieces, especially at the edges. So what I typically do is use my toothpick that has some base on it from moving the glitter around on my nail to pick up some of the smaller pieces and fill in any of those gaps. So here I cured it for 30 seconds and I'm giving it a really good scrub with my stiff nail brush. And now I'm going to apply a layer of the base, and I'm going to do that on my ring finger and my pinky, and then I'm going to cure it for 30 seconds. And then I'm going to apply a layer of the gel top coat and cure that for 1 minute, and that's what we're going to use to encapsulate the glitter for our buffing and filing. So if you're using gel liquids, I've said it before in other videos, so if you've heard it before, I apologize, but if you use gel liquids, you do not want to use a clear dip powder. A lot of times with the gel liquids and the clear dip powder, you will get a cloudy outcome. Your glitter won't be as clear as you would want it to be. So I use gel. I do a layer of the gel base, cure it for 30 seconds, a layer of the gel top coat, cure that for 1 minute, and then I do my buffing, filing, and reshaping right on top of that. Now, I have used the Mountain Momma brand new Barbie before. It's a very smooth powder. There's very little buffing and filing to do. So I did not encapsulate that because I knew before when I didn't have any of the white spots show up with that powder. So I went ahead and I did not encapsulate that with anything. I'm just very lightly with the softest side of the nail file, reshaping, and then lightly buffing the top just to make sure everything's smooth. So that's why I did not encapsulate those nails. And like I said, it's because I used the powder before this way and it worked out perfectly fine. So I didn't want to add more products to my nail that I didn't have to. And I'm just showing you how I reshape and buff with a hand file. Now I will be doing an e-file video soon. I am not great with an e-file, but I'm getting a lot better. So I wanted to show you how I do it. I honestly only use one bit because it's the only one that I like, that I feel like works well for all of my entire nail, and I don't have to keep changing bits. So I'll probably be doing that video for you for sometime in August. But yeah, I just wanted to show you how I do it with the hand file, because this actually is my preferred way to do it. I just feel like I have more control. However, I've been using the e-file here and there for if I have a little bump in my cuticle area or something like that. It really helps to smooth that bump out. So I do kind of go back and forth between the hand file and the e-file. And even whenever I'm using the e-file, I still get my hand file out at the end and I reshape my nail and just lightly buff it with the very soft side of the nail file. So I'm just showing you here that you can buff, file, and reshape on top of the glitter. It's still fine. It looks a little scary while you're doing it because it makes it look white, but I'm just using that hand file to buff, file, reshape all of that glitter. So I will be done with that in a minute. As soon as I'm done with that, I'll come back and we're going to do some stamping. Now we're ready for our stamping. So I buffed, filed, and reshaped as you saw, and then I cleaned everything up with an alcohol prep pad just to make sure my shape was right and I wasn't missing any little bumps or anything like that. So first we're going to get started by applying our Dollhouse Dips gel base, and I am going to apply that to the entire thumbnail and cure it for 30 seconds. That will provide us with a nice tacky layer for our stamps. And I'm going to take that black stamping polish, put it over those two paw print stamps, and use that scraper to scrape off the excess. Pick up the paw print stamp with the jelly stamper and use a lint roller to remove any pieces that were picked up that I didn't want to end up on my nail. So then you look through the back and apply it to your nail. Now that stamp did not fully pick up on the nail. So what I do is I take a little paper towel with a little bit of acetone on it and I just wiped that off real quick. So we're just repeating those steps. I applied the stamping polish to the plate, scraped it off, and picked up the decals with the not the decals, but the stamps with the jelly stamper, cleaned up the jelly stamper with the lint roller, and stamped it on my nail. So if you do make a mistake, I just immediately take a paper towel or something with a little bit of acetone on it and wipe it over the nail. You really want to make sure that you're getting it all off of the nail so that it doesn't look tinged black or whatever color you're using. So I will link all of this down below for you. I'll try to find the stamping plate. All of my stamping stuff is from Amazon, so I bought the stamping polish, the plates, the jelly stamper, which comes with the scraper. Everything is from Amazon. So I'll link all of that below for you, but we're just going to keep repeating those steps. So we applied the gel base, cured it for the 30 seconds to give us the tacky layer. And then we're just going to keep stamping those little paw prints on. Now, the reason I chose the paw prints and the colors that I did for today's manicure is because the day that this video is uploaded would have been my golden retriever's birthday. She passed away a couple of years ago, and she had a bandana that was very similar to the pink brand new Barbie that I used. And she was a little princess, but also liked to get dirty and play in the mud and stuff. So I figured the black holographic glitter, which is a little crazy and rebellious, and then the pink, which is like a sweet princess. So that's why we chose everything for today's manicure. I'm just going to let you watch me finish up stamping here real quick, and I'll be back in a second to finish up. Okay, our stamping polish is dry, and the only two fingers that I did not have any of the gel base on as a top layer were my ring finger and my pinky finger. So I'm applying a layer of the gel base and I'll cure that for 30 seconds. The reason that you want to finish up with a gel base followed by gel top coat on dip powder is if you only go in with your gel top coat, sometimes you'll get peeling or chipping at the corners of your nails. Now I was getting that, but now that I'd apply the gel base first and cure that for 30 seconds and then go in with the top coat, I haven't had that be an issue again. So you would just want to cure the gel base and then apply your gel top coat and cure it for 1 minute or whatever you need to cure it for depending on your lamp, which I'll link my lamp down below as well. I really like it. I got my lamp on Amazon too, and I think it was less than $20 whenever I purchased it. But I love this Dollhouse Dips gel. It's so shiny, and I'll have a picture at the end for you as usual so that you can see everything. But once we're done curing it for the 1 minute, we're going to apply some cuticle oil. That's our finished result. That's so shiny, but we're going to apply our cuticle oil while I do that. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. To see more content, subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. I have new videos every Monday and Thursday. If you have any questions, leave a comment below or find me on Instagram at Dipping Pixie. I also have a TikTok, which is Dipping Pixie, which all of those will be linked down below. That's it for this one, guys, and I will see you in the next one.